Pretty sure that's a crack. Any chance you would do 20 for this?
Yes, there is a chance.
So this is one of those citywide yard sale things. Look, it's beautiful. Look at all the oak trees. Beautiful day to be out here. Even if you don't find anything, this is just a wonderful way to thrift. Hey! Great day to be out here, huh? Look at these oak trees, like 300, 400 years old.
That is a steel-boned one from the Ren. And so, I'm not even sure if it's about 10 years old. About that one back there.
Cajun. Well, 68H. So I think there's a crack of that. I'm getting a lot more. Pretty sure that's a crack. So I think that's a BSR. Thanks, I may stop back. This is the only piece of cast iron you have?
Yes, it is. I had some other stuff that was sold out already.
Any chance you would do 20 for this?
Yes, there is a chance.
Okay, I'll do 20.
Oh, all right, yes, now. I'm gonna wear it out.
I guess Oktoberfest is happening too. Here's another thrift store flea market trope. The infamous footprints thing. I see these everywhere. This one, I guess, has a music box happening with it. kind of smooth inside. Still an Asian-made piece. They do make some good stuff. Same thing here. Nothing special. Alright, so we've had a productive day picking. Now it's time to take a look and see what I've managed to come up with. So this was a citywide yard sale where you just basically wandered around all over the place. People had tables set up everywhere. And I was hopeful that I would find some stuff, and I did find some stuff, so this was pretty cool. So let's look at what I've got. You can see here, 75 bucks. Let's take a look at this first piece. Actually, let's take a look at this first piece because this is the first one I bought. I saw these two pieces right here, and they were high priced, so I kind of talked to the guy and then moved on. And towards the end of the day, as I'm walking all the way down the end of this big long outdoor area, came across this, and it had a $30 price tag on it, which is pretty cool. For a pot this big with a $30 tag, I'm liking it. I mean, yes, it's rusty, but it's not bad rust. You know, it's not super pitted. It's just old, and you can tell from the indentations and how imperfect they are that this is a Birmingham stove and range lid. This is what they look like. So that probably gives away that the whole thing is probably a BSR. And it's definitely got a little bit of pitting inside, but it's not too bad. I think this is probably going to clean up okay. It looks like it might have been restored before. I don't know, but this is a big old pot. Look at this thing. Let's measure it. So, lid fits it perfectly. He was asking 20, and I offered. He was asking 30. And I offered 20 and got it. So, look at that. That's about 12 3/4 inch in diameter. This is a nice sized pot. And I think it's going to clean up really, really nice. Let's take a look at the sides of it. Does it have any cracks? You know, I didn't really examine it that well, and it's entirely possible that it could be cracked all over the place. Sometimes when it's that cheap, I'll just throw the money, shut up and take my money and run. All right. Got quite a bit of carbon buildup here on the bottom. Look at that. So this is definitely not going to sit flat probably once this is cleaned, because this is the metal and this is the carbon. But we'll see. This thing is quite old. Is there something underneath there? Well, actually, you can see right there. It says I can't read something 0.10 something inches, 10.10. I'm not sure, but there's a point there. When we get this cleaned up, we'll be able to see it more clearly. Nice size pot. For 20 bucks, this should probably clean up and be pretty good. I'm gonna look at it. I assume it's a BSR because of the lid. I'm not a super expert on the BSR Dutch ovens, but this is a big one. I'd say it's a number 10 size. Okay, so right off the bat, 20 bucks for that. And we'll see how it cleans up. Well, hopefully there's no cracks in the lid. It looks pretty good. I don't see anything. You never know, though. I take nothing for granted now. So these other two were sitting out there. The guy had 75 and 35 on it. So let's just look at this, the smaller one. This is clearly your basic Dutch oven, probably a number 8. But it's marked Wagner ware Sydney O. So this is in 1268, the model numbers on there. So this is a good classic Wagner Dutch oven. And it's really nice and smooth on the inside. It's got really good patina on it and seasoning. I think it's gonna clean up really nice. Again, probably not super duper flat, but we'll see. Very nice. Obviously the lid is missing. Now, did this have a metal lid or a glass lid? Do not know. But let's see if my other Wagner lid fits it. So here's a Wagner glass lid. Look at that. And this says Wagner ware on it. So my other unmarked Wagner, let's compare the unmarked Wagner to this one. I just finished seasoning this guy. And look at that. They are quite identical. Look at that. Same little tab, same thing here. Except this one is not marked and it just says 5QT on it. Whereas this one says Wagner ware Sydney O. Look at the underside. Oh, there is a little minor difference. This has these little legs on the lip, whereas this one doesn't. So I guess there are some minor differences. But they are basically the same size. As the underside of the lid has that same little tine there. They both have the same style lid. And this one's got a mold mark on the underside. Let's see if this one has a mold mark on the underside. Can't tell, it's crudded up. But my other Wagner ware lid fits this perfectly. So I could use it with either one. They're both Wagners. There's an unmarked and a marked. So pretty easy to identify Wagner now when you've got samples where they're just so similar. And I expect this one will clean up just as nice as this one. And now I am on the lookout for these lids and I've seen some where it doesn't say Wagner ware, but it still has the same little scalloped thing, and they're on the inside, not on the outside. So I'm keeping my eyes open for these style lids. So I told the guy, I said, well, it's missing the lid. Might be worth 35 restored with the lid, but without it, to me, it was worth 20, you know. And then I told him, let me get to this guy, right? So first thing I noticed is looking at this lid. That's a Lodge lid. I think Lodge is known for the little spiky things sticking out, as you can see, whereas BSR had kind of weird holes. So this is a Lodge thing, and I think it's got there's a number in here. It's obscured with a bunch of crap. But when I first saw this, you see that weird line right there? I think that's a crack. I think when I clean this, I'm going to see a crack, and I explained that to the guy. Lately, I've been like, oh, it looks good, and then I get it, and it doesn't. So I don't know, but I don't think this matches this. So let's look at what this is. This, I am under the impression, is a Birmingham Stove and Range chicken fryer. A 6-quart. And I guess there's like a 6 or a 9, and then there's a 6 QT. So is that like a 6-6 QT? I don't know. I have not run across one of these, but I believe this may be a BSR. I don't think it's a Lodge. I guess it could be. And maybe the lid does go to it. I'll do a little bit more research, because it's definitely got some shininess in it. That would really suck if that was lead in there. Just look at the underside of this. So it has a full heat ring. That's an unusual feature on these big chicken fryers, I think. So, I think this is a BSR, but it might not be. Who knows? It could be something else, something unusual. There's a letter A right there at 12 o'clock, and I don't see any other markings on this thing. So I'll take some pictures and I'll post it up on the group. This is more rust than it is. I don't think it's... Yeah, if you look at it from a different angle, it's brown, it's not silver. It's just because of the lights reflecting. Big old cast iron pan. Nice. I like this handle, how it's split out. This probably means this handle stays relatively cool. A nice design. So we'll see what this is. I'm psyched about it. So all in all, I paid $20 and $45 for both of these. So I paid $65 for 3 pans and 2 lids. And I expect this one may be cracked. Maybe it won't be, and I'll be pleasantly surprised. That's my pickup from today, which I think is a pretty nice pickup. I don't dabble in a whole lot of the big chicken fryers and Dutch ovens, but if I come across them at a good enough price, I'll definitely use them. I am looking for a nice big old pot. So this thing here, I may end up using this quite a bit if this turns out to be pretty nice. That's just such a nice sized pot. I'll do a lot of good things with that. So, all right, so here is this 6-quart chicken fryer that I picked up at this town-wide yard sale. Let's take a look at it. Just got it out of the E-tank and started scrubbing it. It's still a little bit wet. And there's still little remnants of seasoning on it. I'm not going to take everything off, but boy is it smooth. It's beautiful in here. I've never seen it, and I think this is a Lodge. I thought this was a Birmingham Stove and Range, which is what threw me off. And I even kind of told the guy I thought the lid did not match the pot, but I was wrong. I posted a picture of this online, and people went nuts. People started DMing me, asking me if I wanted to sell it. So there must be something special about this pan. I tried to find comparables on eBay, and I couldn't even find one that was sold on eBay. Several people said, "Oh, I'll buy that from you. I'll buy that from you." And I'm like, "How much? What do you think it's worth?" They're like, "I'll pay you what you need." I'm like, "What does that mean?" It was like that. It was kind of weird. So this, I am told, is a Lodge 6-quart chicken fryer. It's not marked. It has an A right there, a mold mark, heat ring. You can see I didn't scrub everything off. I kind of like to leave a few little remnants. But this thing is in great shape. There's no cracks. It sits flat. It's super duper smooth. And I have the matching lid, and the lid does say 6-6 on it. So I thought the lid might have a crack in it. I'm going to take a look at it. I don't. Maybe it does. Maybe it doesn't. I won't know until I look at it. But I think it might be okay. Just beautiful. Just absolutely beautiful. So I am going to season this up and then get the lid in the E-tank and take a look at that, and we'll see everything together. Okay, so here we are with everything seasoned, and I'm going to show you the end results on everything. For some reason, I cannot find that very big BSR Dutch oven. I think I brought it to another location. So let me talk about that before I get into this. That BSR, I guess it was a number 10 or maybe even a little bit larger. It turned out that the inside was much more heavily pitted than I thought. Not unlike this. This is the Wagner, the 1268H. Came out really beautiful. And it's relatively flat. It's not completely flat, but look at the inside of that. Super duper smooth. Just magnificent. You'll notice I got tags on these things now because I'm actually trying to find a place and a way where I can sell some of this stuff to kind of recoup my expenses and keep my hobby going. And in future episodes, you're going to see what I go through trying to find where I can sell these things and how. It's an interesting process. I'm still figuring it out, but I've got some interesting ideas now, and I'm going to be sharing that with you in a future episode. So the BSR Dutch oven came out really good on the outside, but the inside, even though it didn't look like it was pitted, it was really heavily pitted. I'm sorry that I don't have it here, but I will show it in a future episode. So I was kind of bummed about that. That was the one that was listed for $30 that I got for $20, that I thought was going to be a really good deal. But it turned out that it was heavily pitted. And one of the problems I'm running into is even sometimes when you see something that's really smooth, if it's dirty, it could have been pitted and then it was used again and all of the seasoning filled in the pits and it became nice and smooth looking. And then when you strip everything off, you realize, ooh, there was pits. There was a heavy pitting down there. I've run into that a couple of different times. So this Wagner ware, which this style of cookware where they had the stylized logo with the Sydney-O and then the catalog number, for skillets, this was made between 1935 and 1959. Even in some of these books, I'm having trouble finding details on the Dutch ovens. There's not a lot documented, but I assume that if the skillets were made between 35 and 59, the Dutch ovens would be the same thing. So I'm thinking this thing was made between 1935 and 1959, which is really kind of a sweet spot in the era of manufacturing. And it's just beautiful, super smooth, absolutely wonderful. So when I got this, it didn't have a lid. I had another one that I got in a thrift store that that was an unmarked one, and I had seen a friend who had one with a glass lid, and I said, okay, I'm gonna start looking for glass lids. And in that day, the same place where I found the unmarked Wagner, I found this lid, which was pretty cool. And this lid actually has Wagner ware on it. You can see that. So it has the logo on it. There's one tiny little chip right there. But other than that, it's nice. And I'm going to put this in the dishwasher. You can see it's a bit dirty. But this is obviously an original Wagner lid, and it went with the unmarked Wagner. So I decided I'm going to put this one with the marked Wagner. So we've got a marked Wagner with the marked Wagner lid. And I imagine that this is probably the configuration that this thing was originally available in. Maybe there was some metal lids on these, but I think there was also some glass lids. So I'm going to make this a package, and because it's just an absolutely beautiful example of a relatively early Wagner. So there's that. Now let's get on to the real piece de resistance of this find, which was this monster. This 6-quart chicken fryer, basically. Now, I thought this was a stew pan because it's got a similar style. So let me show you the stew pans that I've got so far before I talk about this. It's a big old pan. So here's some of the ones that I've collected so far. This is a 1-quart BSR. It's called a stew or a sauce pot. That configuration where you've got a deeper pan with a longer handle. So this is a tiny little 1-quart one that I found. It's pretty rare. Here's a 2-quart, and you'll notice this says 2QT. I think that's a giveaway that it's Lodge. Lodge stamped theirs with the size, whereas BSR didn't. Also, ironically, Lodges have a heat ring, and the BSRs, okay, the BSRs do too. I thought there's some, yeah, here's one without a heat ring, right? So I'm not sure whether this is a Lodge or a BSR, but it's a similar kind of stew pot. But is it a stew pot or is it just a weird shaped chicken fryer? I don't know. I think these are kind of the stew pots, but you'll see this right here says 2QT, very similar to the 66QT over there. So would this considered a tiny little chicken fryer or a stew sauce pot? I don't know. I'm going to do more research. If you know, leave some things in the comments. So there's a whole series of these little guys, these little stew or sauce pots. And I thought that's what this was just a very big stew or sauce pot. But it turns out this falls into the chicken fryer category. So what is a chicken fryer? It's basically like a regular frying pan, a skillet, but it's deeper. So here is a number 8 Lodge chicken fryer. So let's compare. Pull out a Lodge number 8. I know I got one around here. Right here. Hopefully it will not fall on me. Okay, so here's a regular Lodge 8 skillet. 3-notch Lodge SK. Here's a earlier version that does not have the designation, but it's a 3-notch Lodge, so it's made a little bit earlier because it doesn't use the 2-letter things, but this would have a CF on it if it was later. So the difference is they're both basically the same size, except as you can see, chicken fryer is deeper. So these deeper pans were called the chicken fryers. And that's basically, this one was, as featured in an earlier episode, is so heavily pitted that it almost looks hand hammered. Look at that. I don't know who wants this, but it's certainly, the inside is absolutely gorgeous. So it's totally a great, usable, very early pan. Anyway, what's my price on this? I've got listed as for $50. That's probably going to include some commission I'll have to pay to whoever can put it on consignment with, which I'll share. I'll go into it later. That's probably way too high. I don't know. I know some people are going to be like, "Are you kidding?" You know, maybe that should go for $20. I don't know. I'm trying to remember what I paid for it. Anyway, there's my regular Lodge. So, let's get to this chicken fryer. This big old monster. So, as I inferred in the earlier segment, this thing appears to be very rare. I can't find any comparables on it. I don't know. Look at it. It came out beautiful. No crack. There wasn't a crack in this thing. And see, it says 6QT 9T. So I guess maybe it's a size 9 handle. I don't know. But it did come out really good. And it rings nice. And it's got multiple coats of seasoning, as you can see. It came out really nice. Same thing with this guy. Inside is just spectacularly smooth. Not the most perfect seasoning job, but boy, it's on there. It's really good. Came out wonderful. Just a great example. No breaks in the heat ring, just a continuous heat ring. Nothing, no marks on the bottom at all. But a big monster chicken fryer with the lid that goes with it. So, what's it worth? I do not know. I know that several people have offered me at least a couple $100. So I know just secretly somebody's willing to throw me $200 or $300 for it. So I guess it's worth a lot more than that. I don't know. If you know anything about this guy, let me know. I have not been able to find any comparables on eBay. And if I just post it in the cast iron groups, people just go, "Ooh, congratulations," and then they DM me going, "I'll buy that from you." But no, I can't get much more information. So if you know, share it with me. This I guess I paid. The guy was asking $75 for it, which in retrospect was probably a pretty good deal. I hit him during the end of the yard sale, and it was pretty obvious he didn't want to have to carry all this stuff back, so he cut me a deal on it. And I thought this thing was cracked, which it turned out not to be. So that's one in my favor, although I think I'm still in the negative in terms of getting stuff and having it cracked. And I make some really lame decisions that turn out to be bad in future episodes that I'm going to share with you, because there's going to be the good, the bad, the ugly, and the broken. So stay tuned for that. As always, thank you guys for watching. Again, I don't have any kind of Patreon or anything. My channel doesn't even have enough subscribers to be monetized yet. But you can help me out by subscribing and just watching the videos and doing all that stuff, clicking like. And stay tuned. I've got some really cool stuff coming up. Every episode I'm trying to make a little bit more interesting. I'm trying to add some stuff into it. It may not always be about cast iron too. I'm going to try to weave some other interesting content into it. And I hope you will follow along with me on this journey.